this is basically a year mark. We had about 30 people per show. We had 2 shows. A lot of them were relatives, friends, people who know us through the theater. And we had an amazing response as far as positive response. A lot of people enjoyed it. A lot of people saw a 90-minute play go by quickly. They also were very touched by some of the scenes, by the characters. They thought, I had one person say it was quite a feat, which means I think what they were talking about is, carrying a production or a performance that the time span lasts a few years with just 2 actors, a few props, a little bit of lighting, sound, and so it's the bare bones. So I have here Steve, who played Charles Davenport, still is, and Phair, who's playing Marjorie. And what we were trying to accomplish with this first go-around is to see, first of all, if anything needed to be shaven, if anything needed to be honed, if characters need to be developed more. Now, let's go with that. Do you feel your character needs to be developed more?
I was thinking about this in this week, and I can't actually think of anything more that we could necessarily add that wouldn't end up being a bit superfluous. Mm-hmm. I was thinking, do we need to do a little bit more of Charles's home life,
right?
And his relationship with his wife,
mm-hmm.
But then the AA monologue plus the scene before he leaves. I think give you a reasonable flavour of what he thinks of his wife.
Right.
Not necessarily who she is, but what he thinks and what he thinks of that relationship. So that was really the only part where I thought we maybe needed a little more. Possibly a little bit more Marjorie and Charles time before it all goes sour, just to build that relationship up rather than going from 0 to 60.
Right.
Or even just to intimate that it's more of a long-term relationship,
right,
than starting with the initial cast.
Right. I think the only line that may have, and people may have missed this line, which is, I've known you for 4 years,
yes.
Summers too, and all that stuff. So they've been together. Well, maybe a few more references like that.
Maybe.
Because we don't want to add scenes. We're basically at 90 minutes.
Absolutely. Those are the only things that I can think of.
Yeah. So you can develop your character, and I think it's an ongoing process.
That's right. That's right. But,
Same thing.
I'd say about this. I feel like every single time I do it, there's just going to be a little bit of more Marjorie that I'm going to find. I actually think maybe somehow mentioning her parents a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Something about, I'm not asking for another monologue involving the parents, but references. More references to the parents.
Right.
More about home life.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe a little more peppered through, with your monologue with Dr. Jones,
yes,
and things like
yes.
that. Now that's a segue into something that we haven't talked about yet. With an audience, mm-hmm. Did they get, or they may have not have said anything, but did they get who you were talking to in your monologues? Did they get a sense of Leslie?
I believe so. Again, not a lot of comment. Really on that, to be honest.
Okay.
But,
so that probably means they accepted it.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Anything on Pal?
They understood I was talking to Pal. I got a couple of people saying, so who were you talking to in the diner scene? I said, oh, that was Pal. Okay. And they were like, oh, okay, it just, they thought it was someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's one line which maybe caused that confusion.
Yeah.
And that's the one about where you talk about you saw Davenport in
that might be a little
diner,
confusing.
But then you say, I never told you about that.
Right.
And it's whether or not you're you're saying you never told Pal about seeing Davenport, or you never told Pal about the Davenport situation. So that was one thing that occurred to me that could be a little ambiguous.
Right. So generally speaking, what you just brought up is going to cause me to go back to the script and hone that, especially that scene.
Yes.
Because I'm not happy with it either. What's interesting is that was your first monologue that germinated with yours, this whole thing. So I had to cut it anyways because you were talking about stuff that we already experienced in the play.
Yes.
And then, so now I can tweak it even more, because if they recognize, it's always in a bedroom scene that you're talking to her.
Yeah.
So I want to get her, involved with her brother's drug running car that took you to Jersey City, and then you're having this pancake moment with with this person. But I think you guys got that. I think you guys got who you were speaking to. Especially, and throughout the whole thing, but especially those two performances, I saw Leslie the most, your wife, and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was excellent. I want to talk about it as actors and director, for performance purposes, is showing time and place. And did you get any comments about that? That they felt that in one way or another, if they felt that, well, where were you? Were you in Grand Central Station, or where were you? Were you in your bedroom, or did you get any of those questions? Was anybody confused?
Actually, no. I want to say it was my aunt who said, I totally pictured Grand Central there. I never got, the only thing that was brought up was, who you're talking to at the diner scene. That was the only thing that was really brought
But they saw the diner.
Yes.
They knew you were in a diner and all that stuff. How about passage of time? Were they confused?
No, like I said, I didn't really get anything. I just got a lot of, that was good. You did really well.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get anything about that.
Yeah, because there are people that will offer that information.
Yeah.
And say, what the hell was that? What was that scene? Did you get anything?
Again, as far as passage of time, no. And even from my point of view, I'm not sure that I felt the passage of time as much as an actor in it. Not to the sort of the 2-year period. Obviously, we have the reference to the age, which sort of which places it. But you see the passage in terms of what's happening to people, not necessarily how long that is. I'm not even certain how we necessarily achieve that with what we've got available to us. But as far as setting, the only comment I had was the one about knowing that the kids were there. There wasn't really much else. There was one comment about not really understanding what the shred comment was, but then it became clear.
Yes.
But that I think is perfectly reasonable, because that's the idea. Was the shred. It's obviously a personal thing between the two of them, and then it becomes a thing that you know. So that was the only.
It's a cuddly little thing that you share.
That was the only bit of confusion, but that was cleared up as the monologue went on. So
cool.
Which I think was as it should be.
So, how'd you guys feel with an audience, and did it change your chemistry?
I feel like, because with the rehearsals and everything, we would stop for something, you know, whether it was the music or we messed up on something. And the fact that we just went through it, honestly, it did go by fast. It went by faster than I thought it would.
Yeah.
But the fact that we didn't stop, it almost, because when you stop, it's breaking that moment. And with this, there were no stops. We just kept going. And that was really great, because it was more a connection to the character. There was no stopping. It felt like we built momentum. Yes.
We went through.
Right.
And certainly listening to Phair get sort of madder and madder and madder as the thing goes on, and more reactionary. It worked.
Yeah.
It worked more than it had done in rehearsal, and it was working in rehearsal. But it just
Right.
meant, I think, because we had that continuation,
Right.
you know, clearly you built up as you went along. But
Yes.
certainly the scene where I fly off the handle, I think worked a lot better because we were able to just build
Right.
to that rather than within some of the rehearsals kind of going in almost cold.
Okay.
So,
Any discoveries of your character?
I still think, but I mean this happened in like a rehearsal, like the day before the show was going on. But the craziness with all the twitches and the
Yeah.
and the little things that I did.
Those type of
Yeah, I find that so weird. It was, it's like a week before the show, and there's still stuff that you're finding, and
Right.
and I really think that because what I want to do is I want to see the first time it was done and
Yeah.
the second time it was done.
Yeah.
Because there's so much of a difference. Like the first time I did it, yes, I had the crazy eyes and the screaming and that stuff, but the second time I did it was continuous.
Yes.
There was always that bit of crazy.
Yes.
With the twitching.
it
and
was the same bit of crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not having to reinvent the crazy every time. Every time you start to see it.
Yeah.
Yes, and the first time I did it, I felt like the only part where I really was sort of becoming insane was when I screamed, "Where are my parents?"
Yes.
Well, I felt like from beginning to end, just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what we're also I was thinking about this is rage.
Yes.
And people have problems with rage. Teenagers have problems with rage, and it's just in the spectrum. And so yours grew and grew and grew.
Yes.
Over a lot of resentments. A lot of resentments were happening with you too. But it's the way that you deal with it. Hers is with rage and to get back at people, and yours is with some humor and the drink.
Yeah. And the drink. Yeah. Absolutely.
That type of thing. So awesome. We're gonna keep rehearsing. We have a lot of things that they need to do on their own, and there are other productions that they may be a part of. They meaning these two people, and then we'll come back and see what's happening. It's gonna grow hopefully, and we will have different productions and performances in different places. It's portable, but thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Sayonara.